Okay, right. So you can just let me check which is the folder. Revealing File Explorer. Oh, I am in this. Control C. So today is 26th, right? So 26th of October, right? So I just pasted this in Dropbox, right? So 26th October, we have some lectures now. And let me just open the folder. Open for, we have 26th October, right? I'm just selecting this folder. And now you can see we have our multi-threading programs which are starting, right? Let me start my notepad also. Right. So for example, whenever you do multi-threading, right? So when you do multi-threading, you have to import the threading library. So you can see in the first line itself, we have written import threading, right? So if you want to make a shortcut, you can just write import threading as, let's say, th, right? So in the later on, you can actually refer threading to as th, right? So right now we are just implementing it as threading, right? So now what is a thread, right? So this is from an OS concept point of view, but so let me show you the task manager, right? So everybody knows this task manager. Those who are Mac and Linux users, you can actually try psaux command, right? You can use you can get psaux in small p. So this psaux will give you the list of processes that are being currently run on the system, right? In Windows, you have a GUI based task manager. So you can see these are processes, right? So you can see this tab also says that these are processes. So Visual Studio is a process that I'm running. Microsoft Word is a process that I'm running, fine. So now what happens when you define a process, right? So a process will occupy some memory. For example, Microsoft Word is taking 60 MB of space, fine. Microsoft Edge is roughly taking 3 GBs, right? So all the browsers these days are RAM suckers, right? They just want to suck RAM and enjoy. So what happens from an OS point of view? So for example, let us say you have a notepad, right? So notepad is our this window. This is the menu bar and this is what you write. ASCII CS384 Python, right? So basically, you know that notepad is a file which is known as notepad.exe. So this basically is a process. So let me just change the pen color. This basically is a process, right? Now, so process, how do you identify? You will see the process in a process list, right? This is a process list, right? Let me just check whether they give the PID also. So PID basically is the process ID. So what happens? See, process identifier is just like a unique identifier for a process. I mean, you can very vaguely say like the Aadhaar number of the process, right? But you know, the process ID can actually change, but it has to be unique. So for example, if I arrange these process IDs, right, you can see no two process will have the same ID, 4, 124, 816, right? So Windows Explorer and Dropbox, they cannot have the same process ID. Just in a class, there cannot be two students with the same roll number, right? And what is the thing about process ID is that, so for example, let's say I exit Microsoft Word, right? So let's say if you start Microsoft Word on your machine, you know, just right click and select PID, right? So in your case, it won't be 1660. It will be some random number which is unique to your system, right? So let me do one thing. Let me try to close Microsoft Word and again start it, right? So if you see, let me just check for this. I will just search by name. So it may or may not be same, right? So let me just check this. So we have, see, Microsoft Word in the previous case was 1660 something like this. Now it is 13612. But again, what is assured that this will be a unique ID, right? For some Windows process, for security reason, they hide the process IDs. So for example, internally they have, but they just don't display. So see, this is a start, settings, search, runtime broker. These are all Windows processes, but for security reason, they are hiding the process IDs. Fine. So I hope you get what is a process. Now let us come back to Microsoft Word, right? So in Microsoft Word, you see there are various options on the title bar. And for example, when I type something, for example, CS384 is a Python programming course, right? And now let me make some mistake, right? Let's say India is my, and I, let's say, write the spelling of the country wrong. Oh, it's somehow auto checking this thing. COO. Let us try this. Okay, it should actually display grammatical errors also. No errors. So when I do the spelling and grammar check, you can see this, there is a red line which is coming on this country. Now, how does this red line actually come? Now, why does it come? Because Microsoft Word has an inbuilt spell checker that just matches every word with a dictionary, right? Whether this word is in a dictionary or not, right? If it is not in the dictionary, it will make a red line over the word, right? So now what happens? So you can see there are number of processes that are running in. So we have Microsoft Word, and in the background you have bold, italic, underline, right? You have bullets, you have styles and everything. So what happens here? So you have Microsoft Word as your main process. Right? So this is Microsoft Word, right? So let us say COOUNTRY. So what is the file of this? So basically, if you search for the Windows file, it will be winword.exe. If you just want to check, let us come to the program manager, the task manager, and if you see the process name, see Microsoft Word, it has a process ID and the process name is winword.exe. So when you go to winword.exe, you will find in My Explorer. For example, if I do open file location, you can actually see there is a file winword.exe. So when you start Microsoft Word, so it is Windows Word, WinWord, right? Similarly, you have Visio, you have Excel and all those things, right? So, but we are still sticking to it. Now, as an application, you design very small sub applications. Actually, sub application is not the right word, but just for your understanding, so Microsoft Word has something of a spell checker, right? So let me do this red, which made this as a red thing, right? So you can imagine, because since now you are experts in Python, you can imagine there has to be some code which is running in the background, some code which is running in the background that is giving me this red line. So what that code is doing, it picks the word, checks whether the word is in the dictionary. If it is not there, it will do a red underline. If the word is there, it won't do a red underline. Fine, simple concept, right? So now what happens? So this is basically the spell check. So let me just again change the pen color. Let me keep this. So this basically is the output of a spell checker, right? So there is some spell checker that is doing this. Now, if you see in the Microsoft execution files, so there is no separate standalone, right? Now, what do I mean by standalone? Standalone means, for example, if I'm starting Notepad. So Notepad is a standalone program. If I close Microsoft Word or start Excel, it has no impact on Windows Notepad. So Windows Notepad, Firefox, all these processes, your games, VLC, all these are standalone processes. But along with every process, there are some linked programs. So now, for example, in Microsoft Word, there is a spell checker that actually identifies that, okay, this is a wrong spelling. Now, if you want to say, just listen carefully, if you want to say, okay, can I use this spell checker in Notepad? No, you cannot use, right? So if I write a wrong spelling here, country, Notepad does not show me this feature because Notepad does not have a spell checker. But now I know that Microsoft Word has a spell checker. I cannot use this spell checker with Notepad. Why? Because this spell checker program runs as a thread. Now, what do you mean as a thread? So, for example, when you have Microsoft Word, along with it, there are numerous background programs that are linked to Microsoft Word. For example, spell check, right? Formatting tools, right? So these are basically known as thread. Now why do we call them as thread? Because see, this spell checker was running in the background, you already know, hence it highlighted the word country. But when you go to a task manager, you cannot see any process, something like spellcheck.exe or something like this. You only see Microsoft Word. That's the only thing that you are seeing, right? That is what a thread is. Technically, if you ask any computer science guy, they will say thread is a lightweight process. So let me just write thread is a lightweight process. Now what do I mean by lightweight process? Basically thread is like a child, right? So a process, so let me just write, so this is a process, I can call it a parent, right? So this is parent, and let me just do this in maybe let's say green. So these are called child process. This is child process, or we can say them as thread. Now see, a child cannot have an existence without a parent, right? No parents, no child, right? So this is the same thing. So for example, if I close Microsoft Word, right? If I close Microsoft Word now, the spell checker is also lost from the memory, because that spell checker, if I just have to do a refresh, I think, right? So you can see Microsoft Word. Oh, it is still. Oh, there is one window. No, let me close this. Right, so you can see Microsoft Word has gone now, because the spell checker and other functions like formatting tools will not exist if Microsoft Word itself is not in the memory. Right? It's like I cannot tell you to save a file in Notepad without opening Notepad. So these are known as threads, which are very lightweight process. I just wanted to give you an intuition. Now, what is the advantage of having thread, right? The first advantage is that thread increase your program execution, right? So for example, as a very naive example, right? So everything that you do in Windows or in Linux or in Mac, everything basically runs as a thread in the background so that they can increase the system performance. Now, for example, let us take this. This is our Python code. And let's say you are writing a function which will add two numbers. So let us say x comma y. And then you have a function, let's say p comma q. And then you have a division function a comma b. Right? So you have, this is function 1, function 2, and function 3. Let us say for just a very, just for a clarity purpose of you, we say, let us say this takes 5 seconds to execute. This takes 3 seconds to execute. And let us say the division function takes 7 seconds to execute. Right? How will I call them from the main? I will just say add 5 comma 6, subtract 7 comma 9, and divide, let's say 100 comma 5. So what happens? This is def, def, and def. So what my program will do, go to add 5 and 6, and then come back here. So it goes 1, then 2, right? Then again what will happen? It goes to subtract, which is step 3. Subtract will return back a value, which is 4. Step number 4 basically. Then let us change the pen color. Then division will execute, which is step number 5, and then division returns a value, step number 6. So you can see this was a sequential execution. Sequential means in sequence, one after the other, right? Sequential execution. Now what happens with thread is like, with threads you can do a parallel execution. Now you just see this intuitively, don't go by the term threads and all, right? It may confuse you. Intuitively I can add 5 plus 6, I can subtract 7 and 9, I can divide 105 in parallel, right? I can do all these operations in parallel, right? Because I have a multiprocessor system. If I have 4 cores, I can run add on one core, subtract another core, division on another core, right? So, but of course, if you have 100 functions, you cannot have 100 cores, right, on a normal computer. So for that, you can use threads, right? Now let us see what a normal program looks like and what a threaded program looks like, right? So in this, I'm including the library import threading. I'm just defining a function print hi, right, which is taking one parameter number, and it is just saying your customer number this and what is the name of the current thread that is executing, right? So I believe it may not give any name, right? Let me just first, do one thing, keep a simple print program. This program is without thread, right? Let me just uncomment everything. So this is a normal function program, right? Definition print num, and I'm saying your customer number and passing 100. So 100 goes to num and you are saying your customer number 100, right? Let me just run the code. So see, it says hi, you are customer number 100, and you end the code, right? End is here, right? Now let us see what happens when you do a threading. How can you call the same function using a thread, right? As I said, in this particular example, we were going sequential execution, right? We were going in a sequential form. In threads, you can run these operations in parallel. So I will have only 1, 2, and 3, half the number of steps. Now, how do we do that? So from the threading library, you can just see that. Let me just execute the code once. So now it says current executing thread is main thread, right? Hi, your customer number 100. Now why does it say? So because we come here, current executing thread is threading dot current thread. By default, the program is the main thread, right? So it is saying main thread. Main thread is like a Python defined keyword. Some programs, maybe Java, may have a parent thread, something like this. So the main thread basically is the current thread, right? Threading is this. Because see, we have not called any threading function as of now. Just come to line number this. Now see what you are seeing. I am calling the function print hi. It just comes here, says customer number 100, and because I did not execute print hi using a thread, right? Let me just write in the comment non-threading execution, because there are no threads. So it says whatever you are executing was the main thread, right? Now see, again what I'm doing, I'm just passing on t1 threading dot thread. And now see, when you call a function, right, I'm calling the same function. There are two ways to call the function, right? One of them is this, right, print hi. And now what I'm doing, I'm calling the print function using this thread value, right? And in the target, right, you can see thread is a function in itself. It has round parentheses. It's a function in itself. It has round parentheses. Now I'm saying a keyword which is target, and it is equal to print hi. Basically using a thread, right? You just remember this thing. So when I say, let me just come here. Threading dot thread. Okay, let me pen color. I am saying target is equal to, let me keep it blue, print hi, and we have args equal to 75. Now what each of these things mean? So see, when you are using threads, as I told in this example, you are calling functions only, but you are calling functions in concurrence or in parallel. Basically, you are doing parallel execution. So when you are calling thread, you basically need to call a function. So now you can see, if I just bring this down, let me keep it like this. You can see we have a print hi function, and in the target I am specifying the name of the function. In the target I am specifying the name of the function, but remember, we don't specify in this fashion, right? Although it's a function call, because see, thread is already a function. So we are asking the thread function to call a simple function which is print hi. And now you can see print hi as has a parameter which is a num. So how do you pass that? You pass using the keyword arguments. So how does it happen? So if I have the print function, print hi, and then I am passing on here number. So now what happens here is that this 75 gets copied to this num, and print hi is matched with this function, right? Now print hi is matched with this function, so basically it says that I am calling the function print hi with the argument 75. So print hi is called and the argument is passed, which is 75. So let me just make this as print hi just for your convenience, and let me make this as main, right? And execute the code again. So you can see current executing thread in the main. So in the main, it is known as the main thread, right? Print hi. So this is customer 100. So what happens here? I am basically going to 100. I am going to print hi function, passing 100 here. So it comes hi, you are customer 100. So it comes you are customer 100. Now it is saying current executing thread, right? Now you will say why it is coming as main thread, because see, you just executed print hi without any threading prefix, hence it is still, whether it's in the main or it's in the function, it will remain as main thread only, right? I know it's a bit tricky in the start, but you will get a hang of it. Now see how I'm calling via thread. You see I'm calling this function using parenthesis and the number 100. Fine. Now what I'm doing here is, now I'm calling using a thread. So using a thread, I said I just specify the function name without parenthesis and I'm passing the argument. So now I'm saying that I want to call this function using a thread, right? Which is not the main thread, but I'm creating my own custom thread, right? So now there are two things here. Okay, start and join. Let us comment right now, right? Uh, because it's a single call, nothing will happen. So now you can see this one. Oh, sorry, t1 dot start I have to do. So when I am calling this, right? So it basically just creates a thread, right? Creates a thread. This line just creates the thread and this calls the thread, right? Let me just execute the code. So you can see now current executing thread. See, because I am passing the parameter 75 here. So hi, you are customer 75. Okay, let me just put the join also. I will explain you why that output actually came. So you can see now you are customer number 75. Current executing thread. This is basically the function print. And now you can see it is thread 1. It is no longer main thread. Main thread basically appeared for this thing because you directly call the function without any threading value. Now once you are creating a thread in this case, you basically call the function. First you create a thread and then you call the thread. So at the start, right, when you do this start clause, basically the function print hi will be called with the parameter 75. So you can see hi, you are customer 75, and you just see the name of the thread. In the previous case, print hi was done using main thread, and in this case it is done using thread 1. You can see the difference. So main thread is like the parent thread, right? And thread 1 is the child thread. Child 1 cannot execute without this main program actually being executed, right? So this is how. Now you will say, why do we do t1 dot join, right? So let us go back to the drawing board and understand why this we are doing, right? So why start? See, start is to invoke or initiate the function, but why do you require join, right? So let me just start off this saying, okay, we have a definition print hi, which is taking a parameter num, right? And in this function I have a print hi, you are customer num. Fine, let us keep this small only, right? And this will be a colon here. Now you are calling a print hi function. See, because this was without thread, so what happens? You call the print hi function, it goes here and come back here. So this is sequential, right? This is sequential. So let me just erase this. Right? Now what you are doing, you are creating a thread. Right? You are creating a thread and then you are calling. So let's say T1 is threading dot thread target is equal to print high. Right? So after creating the thread, you are basically saying, okay, T1 dot start. So now when you do T1 dot start, you basically go on this particular point, right? This is, I am writing as step 1. Now this is no longer sequential. See, this was a sequential thing, right? We already saw this was sequential. Sequential as in when I call this print high function, it basically goes to the function and waits for execution, right? It will wait for execution. Wait for execution means, for example, if I write for I in, let's say I say range 100, I will do print I, and let us say I again say I as 1, right? So this is an infinite loop, right? It will keep on executing. It's an infinite loop. Now what will happen if you do a sequential process, right? This was sequential. So let me just do this as a red mark. So because it was sequential, it will actually wait for this to get exit. And we know this will never end because this is an infinite loop. So technically my program stops here. Stop is not the right word. Basically it's stuck. Basically not stop. Let us write it stuck. So when it is stuck here, it cannot move any further. Right? Now if you see, the normal flow of execution is going in this fashion. Right? It started from here, print high, and it is going in this fashion. Now I'm waiting here because I got stuck here. Now what happens? The advantage of thread is this. So let me just change the pen color. So the moment you create a thread, right, there is a parallel program execution, right? This is known as parallel, right? There is a parallel program execution, right? So along with your main flow, right, this does not get altered. This keeps on continuing and this runs in parallel. So now you see what advantage is like that. For example, in the end, if you have print end, right? If you don't use join, if you have a print end in the end, so what will happen? This thread will start. This thread will keep on running, executing parallelly. So what will happen? This is your main program and this is your thread, right? Thread is linked to the main program. So if main exits, thread automatically waits. Assume this is an infinite loop program. So our main execution is going like this, right? So now what happens? It jump to thread, right? This program will jump to the thread, but still will keep on executing the main code. Keep on executing the main code. Now what do I mean by that? Keep on executing the main code, right? So now let us actually comment out this join, right? Let us comment out this join. And now you just observe during multiple execution, right? You can see this end of program actually coming before the, see, technically what should happen when I do T1 dot start, it should come to high function. It should say hi, your customer number is 75, and it should give me the thread name, right? Just like this. See, now I have commented join. Just see the output now. So now you can see you have got, when the serial execution was going on, main thread came, hi, you are customer 100, the main thread working is proper. Now you can see, hi, you are customer, right? And now you can see end of program is coming, and then you get 75 and current executing thread. Now you will say why this actually happened, and then I will explain you why is join so important. See, once again, let us be back to the drawing board. So this is your main program. Sorry, I didn't do it next. This is your main program. Fine. And let me change the pen color. This is the thread. And now let us do one thing for ease of understanding. Let us write some line numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Assume that under normal execution, and this is a thread, and let me keep another function here. This is normal function 1, 2, and 3 and 4. Right? Let us keep it 5 to make it uniform. Right? So this is a normal 5-line function. This is a threaded implementation 5-line function. Now assume that on line number 2, you call the normal function. So what happened? From line number 2, I go to the normal function. Once I go to the normal function, I execute the 5 lines 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then, as you know, we return back to the line number 2. Now till the execution is in process, till the execution is in process, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 will not execute. Waits for, right? So this basically says waits for normal function to end. So what is the disadvantage here? If this is an infinite loop, if this is an infinite loop by some bug, basically we will never be able to execute 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? Now what happens when you do something on the thread? Right? Now assume we don't have a normal function. Let us assume this is not there. Now when on line number 3 the thread is called, when the thread is called, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 executes, but at the same time 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 also executes. This also executes, and this also executes. So in parallel they are executing. So we say that word concurrently. Concurrently, or you can say in parallel they are running. So now what happens? Let's say, because see the processes are so fast, 2.8 gigahertz. So you have roughly 2 into 10 raised to giga is 9. 2 into 10 raised to 9 cycles per second. Right? You guys can understand. One instruction can take one cycle to execute, depending whether it's a jump instruction, add instruction, or something like this. So now you see both the codes are executing in parallel. So sometimes this will win, sometimes this will win, right? So now I hope you will get the idea when you did this program t1.start. So the moment you did start, this code also was executing in the memory, and this code kept on continuing, right? Because as we saw, moment you call a thread 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the preceding part directly starts executing. It does not wait for the thread result. It does not wait for the thread result. It executes in parallel. So now you can see in this case, end of program and 75 has come here. So when I execute next time, if you execute it multiple times, at some point you may see that 75 may actually come here, because it's like a race, who wins first, because both are executing in parallel. Now why do we do t.join? T dot join is almost like, even though I am using a thread, right? If I say T1 dot start and T1 dot join, join is now almost like a sequential. It says you start the thread, right? But please wait for the thread to come, right? Basically the thread to terminate. That means when I am saying T1 dot join, right, it means that, okay, if I have started a thread, let it terminate at this point. Until it is terminated, I won't move further. So by same logic, if I write something which is of infinite loop here, this T1 will join will get stuck here because it is waiting for the thread to terminate itself, right? So when I do T1 dot join, it is almost like we are calling this function normally just using a thread. So now you can see it properly comes. Hi, your customer name is 75. Your currently executing thread is thread 1, and then we do end of the program, right? So guys, it's 1 o'clock already. We will again see threads on next Monday. I know it's a bit tricky topic, but it's not that tough, right? So don't worry about it. We will just see it again. We will again revise these concepts. I will upload the lecture for today, right? So now we can exit for today. It's already 1, I think. So thank you guys for attending. Yes, मामा हो गया.